introduce you all to our speaker for today, Ms. Shivani Wadhwa, who is a clinical psychologist, a remedial therapist, and a trainer by profession. She is also a certified structure of intellect practitioner and a phonics master trainer. She has over 8 years of experience in helping children with special needs. She aims to empower individuals to reach their potential emotionally and academically. As a part of her mission, Ms. Shivani aims to promote the holistic development of children with special needs. She has also founded an organization, Samarthya, Nurture a Better You. It is a pleasure to have you with us, ma'am. Before we begin this session, I'd like to remind all the participants that during the speaker sharing, the chat settings will be switched to hosts and panelists. Wishing you all a very happy learning. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction, Disha. A very good evening to you all, dear participants. Hope you're all doing good and are keeping safe. So today we'll be discussing about how you can work with parents whose children are facing academic difficulties and support them better. This is for mainly teachers and special educators in schools, but if you are parents along with me in today's workshop, you would be getting a better insight into how you could be more supportive for your children. So as we all know, parents play a key role in the holistic development of their child. Parental involvement is extremely important in the growing years of the child. And as parents, if we want to deliver the best to them, we need to be aware of what a child is going through. So being aware of the challenges helps us to identify exactly what the child can be facing. So let us before that begin to understand what are the common challenges that children can face in everyday life, or basically that can impact their academics. So moving on, there could be categories in which they could face challenges and that impacts their academics. There could be subject area difficulties where they have challenges in their reading, writing, and arithmetic skills. They could have difficulty sustaining attention, which in turn impacts their ability to focus and also their academic ability. Then comes the social skill deficits. So these all together may impact their academic performance. So looking at each of them in a little detail, when we talk about the reading difficulties, what happens when a child is going through reading difficulties? The child will have difficulty associating letter to its sound. For example, they might be getting confused with letter I and letter E sound. There may be challenges in blending and segmenting. They would be stuck when they have to blend two sounds like b, l, bl. So that becomes a challenge for them. Word differentiation. Similar looking words where they have WEB, web, and WED, wed. So they become a challenge for the child to recognize the difference. Also, comprehending any material or text that is given to them becomes a challenge. So these are certain challenges that a child may face when they encounter reading difficulties. Moving on to the writing difficulties. So if the child is having a writing difficulty, we'll see that there are letter reversals. So what the child may be doing is that when the child is writing, the child might be looking at B on the board, but be writing D in the notebook. Or if the child has seen U, but the child may be writing inverted. So these are certain challenges for letter reversals. There could be spelling errors. For example, if the child has to write the spelling of school, the child may just write a single O than double O, or inability to produce legible handwriting. So the writing would be very clumsy and difficult to understand what the child has written. So even in writing challenges, sometimes children have difficulty putting their thoughts on paper. So they creative writing skills. So I tell them, write a paragraph on my best friend. So they have their ideas, they have ideation, but putting that ideation on paper, incorrect formation of sentences becomes a challenge. And also writing within the given space. So we all know sometimes children have to write in a 2-rule book or in a 4-line book. They do not know where to start and where to end. So writing within a given space becomes a challenge. So these are few writing difficulties that a child may be facing. Moving on to the arithmetic challenges. When we talk about arithmetic challenges, it's more to do with number sense. That is, they have difficulty in identification of numbers, sequencing of numbers. They may also have reversals or mirror images. So for 3, you might see children writing this way, inverted. For 6, we may see that they write 9 or the opposite, 7 this way. So there might be reversals that are observed. An application of the arithmetic signs is a challenge. So they get confused when they see these symbols. What is happening? So they might get confused with the multiplication symbol and the addition, subtraction and division. Understanding the word problems becomes a challenge for them, and also the application of functional math, that is, the concepts of time and money. These are certain challenges children could face when they have difficulty in arithmetics. Along with these 3, what can impact the academic performance could be the memory. If children have challenges in their working memory or in recalling the information that is learned. So when they come back from school, there are times we ask them, what is it that you did at school? What was the teacher talking about? The concept of water cycle. They would be like, okay, I learned it, but I'm not able to tell you. Then you might have asked a child or taught a child a particular task in a sequence. So that becomes a familiar task for the child. In spite of repeated instructions, the child is not able to do it. Or when the problem solving is to be done, like, okay, I'm feeling cold. What am I supposed to immediately do at that point of time? Those are memory challenges that the child may encounter. Along with memory challenges, the other difficulty, as we spoke, would be difficulty sustaining attention. So when a child has challenges related to attention, completion of the task at hand will be a problem. That is, if they're doing their homework, their focus is not there. So they might be thinking about other things or talking about topics that are not relevant to the current task. Their organization skills might be affected, and you will see that there is hyper focus on TV and video games due to attention difficulties. Other than that, the other challenges that children could face are social skills challenges. What happens when there are social skill deficits? You see that the child is having difficulty maintaining conversations with their peers or people around them. Understanding the verbal and non-verbal messages becomes difficult. Expressing emotions is a challenge, or even expressing the correct emotion. Okay, this is a time it has made me disappointed, or this is a time I should be very happy. The children are not able to accurately judge what is the emotion that they might be going through. And they also have an inability to collaborate with peers. So working in a team becomes a challenge for children. So these are certain challenges that may affect the entire academic performance of children. And when we talk about the prevalence, what is happening is that the number of children with learning disabilities is actually increasing. And children mostly survive, they do not thrive. But if this difficulty is identified at the right time, the child will be better helped. So children with disability in everyday life definitely face barriers continuously. And what does it include? It includes the children who are at risk or who are already diagnosed, or sometimes these children go unnoticed. But the number of children is actually increasing. If we look at the current statistics, when we talk about the prevalence of ADHD and SLD, it's known that 1 in every 5 school going children has a learning disability. And this can impact their day to day academics as well as their performance. And remember, it's never too late to help these children to thrive in their school or in their life. So, the most important thing that we need to do as parents, educators, special educators is to address it. And to address or identify it, it's important to be aware of it. So when we talk about, a disability identified in a family, what could actually happen? So when parents understand that the child could be going through a difficult time, it can have a lot of effect on the whole family. You'll see that people around get stressed. The child also gets stressed. It could be because of the financial costs involved, the emotional and physical demands, Also, because of this, the guilt, blame on the other person that, okay, I have not put in the requisite effort to get the child to do the work also starts. And in this entire process, we see that the child starts to develop low self esteem. And there is strain in the entire family relationship. So it's very important the role we as parents play, or even when you have to, as educators, psychoeducate the parents, you need to tell them about how important it is to be supportive towards the child's needs and to be there, identify, observe the challenges that we have discussed. And when we talk about supportive parents, let us understand in detail what does that comprise of. So there are supportive parents. This parenting style will involve the parents to engage with the child, to promote the academic skills. They get involved with the school activities, keep a note or check on what are the everyday things the child is going through, how the child is performing, and they definitely ensure that rules are in place, but they're not very rigid. They are to enhance the quality of care. On the other hand, when we talk of unsupportive parents, they show apathy towards the academic needs of the child. And they mostly tend to rely on the teacher that, okay, the teacher is teaching, my child would be progressing. But parental involvement to know, work with the child, revising is extremely important. These parents establish rigid rules or have no rules at all. So, talking more in detail about the supportive parents, what does the what are the feelings of a parent who's supportive towards their child? You would see that they have realistic expectations for their child. They understand what a child is capable of, what are the abilities of the child, and that's when they are having realistic expectations. They have confidence in their child that yes, and they provide that kind of motivation also to children. They are patient with the child because they also understand that progress definitely takes time. They show unconditional love. It is not that only when a child performs extremely well in academics, I'm going to love my child. No. So they provide unconditional love and they definitely take pride in the success of the child. When parents are providing this kind of an environment to the child, imagine what could be the effect on the child and the feelings. So the child would be happy. The child would also be a confident child. Child would be motivated to do more. Child will develop independence and also have open communication with parents, which is very, very important. So our feelings or what we give or what environment we are setting up as parents for our children has a direct impact on how the child feels and carries himself or herself. Looking at unsupportive parents, what happens? Yes, when a parent is unsupportive, there is frustration because a child is not able to meet the demands or the expectations that are set. Then there is blame. Okay, it is because I have not put an effort. It is because the child is lazy, or it could be because the school might have not taught well. So it's a blame game that starts. There are feelings of anger, there's frustration, there is sadness that what is it that is happening. And on the other hand, there's also denial that no, my child is capable and can do it. Yes, it's good to have expectations, but on par with the abilities of the child. So when these are the feelings of a parent, what would be the feelings of the child? This impacts the child. The child starts to feel worthless. He or she starts to feel not worthy of the parent's love. They feel inadequate. They have low self esteem and they feel that their life is meaningless. So, the way parents are with the child has an impact on how the child is thinking about himself or herself. So, when there is a collaborative family support where the parents are there for the child will definitely have better academic progress. Not necessarily it has to be excellent, but yes, the child strives to the best of their ability. And then there will be family resilience. They're able to cope with family demands and situations. The child himself or herself will have better psychosocial adjustment. And at the same time, the improvement in overall well-being of the child will be observed. So the collaborative family support where parents are there for children is extremely important. parents can help teachers. Teachers, if you see that the child spends a lot of amount of time in school, now maybe because of the pandemic, it is a hybrid model, but yes, children spend quite a bit amount of time with teachers and parents as well. Parents at home need to observe what the child is going through and also communicate that transparently to the teachers so that the teachers also can better support the children at school. So it's important for you as parents to provide critical input on the child's progress. Please be transparent in describing the child's behavior. Only when you are transparent, only when you give out the accurate, right, honest information about the child, the teacher or people involved will be better able to help your child. Teach skills at home. Learning does not happen only at school. Learning happens everywhere at every stage, even as adults. So you can teach basic skills at home as well and ensure to attend meetings and case conferences at school regularly. What is important again is also to build awareness. Now, we have seen what can be done for parents. We have seen what are the challenges that children are going through. We have seen what is the role of supportive parenting. We have seen what happens when a parent is unsupportive. If I may ask you all in the chat box, what do you think can be done to build awareness among parents? What would be your response? What can be done to bring awareness among parents?
Some of our participants are answering that open communication, counseling, educating the parents before taking in admissions, holding seminars, conducting conferences and workshops, collecting regular feedback from the child, um, having regular discussions, communications in schools, and regular feedback from parents and other caregivers are some of the ways in helping parents become more aware.
Thank you so much. It's an exhaustive list where you all have covered that communicating is extremely important. But at the same time, before communicating, you and the parent, that is, you as educators and the parent, should be on the same page and have the same understanding of the child. So you communicate, you psychoeducate parents of the positive rules, have parent teacher conferences, awareness camps, rightly said, counseling, okay. So there are a lot of things that can be done, but most important thing is how you put it across to parents. So moving on, when you have to create awareness, you always have to remember one thing, that when parents understand or feel that the child is going through academic difficulties, or someone puts it across to them that their child may be going through difficulties or challenges in academics, there will be various reactions that you get from parents, and which is actually okay. It takes time for somebody to understand and accept what is happening. The parents can definitely be in denial because for them it's not easy to accept that. They can display various negative emotions towards those around them. And parents can also feel upset, and they might be expressing it that how is this even possible at home the child is doing with their support. So there might be common reactions that you would be getting as educators, or even parents definitely who are here might be feeling that my child is actually doing well. Yes, each child is wonderful in their own ways. They are unique, they have their own strengths. But if we feel that the child is not able to cope academically, it is important to identify the challenges from the challenges discussed and take the further steps of action that can be done. When we are dealing with parents, or when we are dealing with, or as teachers or special educators, when you want to communicate to parents, first of all, it is important to identify the red flags. So when we talk about the red flag signs, you have to identify them over a period of time. It is not just that I'm going to identify it once, twice, and then immediately convey to the parent. It is an ongoing observation that you do at least for a period of 3 months. So, as teachers, we have around 30 students in a class on an average, if I tell. So, when we have 30 students and we observe that, okay, these 3 or 4 students are not able to cope, It is also important to understand the background they're coming from, understand if any previous class has been missed, understand if the parent has already told the child is a child with special need. So you identify, figure out what is happening. See what are the signs that are coming out from the child. Maybe the child is not able to speak clearly, or it could be the child is not able to have the fine motor skill for writing. So you observe what are the things that are hinting towards the child having certain difficulty. So in that, once you identify that, for example, if I hypothetically take a case, it could be that the child is not able to read. The child is of 7 years and the child is not able to read, whereas others in the class at least are able to cope with the CBC words and sight words. So at that point of time, you help, you talk to the child one on one as a teacher. And after 3 to 6 months, if you see that yet, even after your support, the child is not able to cope, it is important to discuss the observations objectively with the parent. So, when I mean your discussion with the parents, it is not that we talk to the parents in a complaining tone that your child is not able to do. So that whenever we are communicating with parents or as educators in the field, it is important to be objective, also focusing on the strengths of the child. So when we have to discuss with parents, always start off with the strengths. Each child has their own skill set. They have certain strengths or certain abilities that they are wonderful at. Then you can also ask parents what are the challenges that they see in the child, because parents also spend a lot of amount of time with their own child. So they might have also observed what the child could be going through. So at that point of time, we could discuss. It's a discussion. It's not a session where we just tell the parents that, okay, I've identified red flag signs, you go and seek help or support professionally. Agreed. But the way it's communicated has to be very well said. Not that you don't have to give an honest picture. Yes, we have to honestly tell what it is, but at the same time, you also need to understand the common reactions or the feelings of a parent. At that point of time, you discuss objectively what the parent might be going through, what the child is going through in school. You can share with the parents stating that these are certain observations that I have seen at school. How is it at home? So you understand the child from the home perspective. When we start to understand the child from the home perspective, we understand how is the child doing in a different setting. That will also give you a lot of information. You could tell parents that these are challenges I, as a teacher, have observed. Have you observed? Not observed? If yes, how have you supported your child? Or how can we together bring the best out in the child? It's important for teachers also to be very patient with the child, as important it is for parents also to be patient with the child and genuinely show parents that you want to help. When when students are in a school or children come to school, it's a collaboration of the parents. It's a collaboration between the parents and the teachers to bring out the best in the child. So it is the shared responsibility of each of them to help and support the child. So you have to be genuinely wanting to help the child and identify, observe over a longer period of time and discuss these observations objectively with the child. So, in that regard, when we all get stuck as to how can we help parents understand or how can we help parents to know what their child is going through and what could be the way forward, even when parents understand, okay, my child is having a writing challenge or my child is not able to apply math concepts, even simple addition, if I show in abstract terms of 2 plus 2, the child is not able to say, even if the awareness is there, the problem that comes is they get stuck as how to progress ahead. What do I do? How can I seek help? Where do I seek help? There are a lot of questions that go on in the mind of the parent. And as teachers and as special educators, we are there to support them, help them to show them the right way. Sometimes, even as teachers, we do not know what can be done for children with special needs. So, in that regard, we have an awareness program for the parents that is created by the expert practitioners and ability for you all. So it's a joint effort in which the expert practitioners have come up with content to help you to get an insight into how children can be better supported. And the first series is a series of 5 short videos that will help you to get an understanding of how you can support the parent. And the title of it is Understanding Why Your Child is Not Doing Well Academically. So, when children are not doing well academically, you could use this as a resource to show them or guide them what they could do with the children. Certain parental do's and don'ts, what could be the feelings they might be going through, and how can they identify as well as the way forward. So even you as teachers could be a part of it, watch it to as Ability shares more about it, to also be aware yourselves. So when we as teachers and educators are aware, we are in a better position to help the parents and also to guide them in the right direction. So coming to the summary, academic difficulties or any academic challenge definitely triggers the parent. Also, a child who has put in a lot of effort. So it does pose difficulty to the child, it does pose difficulty to the parent that why the child is having a poor academic performance. So when you see that your child is not able to cope with his or her peers or grade level performance is not there, in spite of the efforts that are being put in, it's very important that we identify it at an early stage. Sometimes it's a general tendency that we brush it off saying, okay, as the child ages or as the child grows, the child will be able to cope. Yes, some children do cope, but at the same time, there are times where the child actually needs support. It's always better to identify early. The moment you identify early, you can provide early intervention. And earlier you provide the intervention, the child will be better able to manage the difficulties. That is why early intervention is essential to address the difficulties that the child is facing. Then comes the collaboration between the school and the families. When the school, that is the teachers, the management, work hand in hand with the parent and the parent is cooperative with the school by giving honest feedback about the child, supporting the child with home-based activities or doing as discussed will definitely bring success. The collaboration between school and families is very important to help the child deal with the academic challenges that he or she is facing. And you could definitely use the parent awareness program by Ability to raise awareness among the parent community. So thank you from my end. And the only thing that I would tell you all is that it's a collaborative effort and identification at the right time of the challenges goes a long way to support the child in the best way possible.
Thank you, Ms. Shivani, for highlighting about the different academic challenges that children face and the importance of collaboration between parents and schools in order to help children in their learning process. So participants, as I had very briefly told you all about the Parents Awareness Program before the speaker sharing, just like as Ms. Shivani said, the importance parental involvement is extremely important in the child's learning progress. Research shows that as parents become more involved and empowered in the education process of the child, then learning outcomes also improve. We all understand that parents play a very important role in this academic journey of the child. A parent who understands how to help a child could make a huge difference to the progress that a child makes. And as a community, one of the most effective things that we can do is to help parents become more aware and be more engaged in their child's learning journey. So now, before we go further, I have some very interesting questions that I have for you all. I'll be launching a poll. I request you all to please feed in your answers. My first question is, how many parents do you think are aware of the challenges faced by their children in academics? I can see most of you all have started feeding in your responses. Great. So most of you all have said that at least 26 to 75% of parents are aware about the challenges. My next question to you all is, how important do you think it is to raise awareness among parents? Wow, I see all of you all responding to this question. Okay. And almost most of you all have said that it is very important to be raising awareness among parents. Now, my last question to you all is, do you want to raise awareness in your community? Okay. And this is really nice to see that most of you all have answered that yes, you all want to be involved and want to spread awareness in your community. So now let's see. So now let's see what is it that all of us can do about this. So as I told you all before, Ability has launched the Parents Awareness Program, Understanding Why Your Child is Not Doing Well Academically. This program is a compilation of 5 short videos that will highlight about the different academic challenges that children face and what is it that parents can do about this to help children in their learning progress. Now, I have taken my first step towards creating an impact in my community. I have gone and created a unique link that I can share with the parents in my community in order to raise awareness. This link will invite them to our parents awareness program videos, and it will help them become more aware about the challenges and how they can be able to help children in their learning progress. So now you, as a special educator, as a teacher, can become an influencer and create an impact. You can help parents in your community to become more aware and be a positive force in their child's learning progress. This video series is just one of the ways of raising awareness among parents about why their children must be facing academic challenges and the role that they could play. And for you all to become an influencer, you have to go through a very simple process that I'm going to tell you about. This process includes 3 steps. The first one being the sign up step, the second one being personalization, and the third one being running your first campaign. So are you all ready and excited about this? I'm going to be taking you all through these steps right now in this webinar, and we are going to be completing these steps together. So for the first step to sign up, the link is being shared in the Zoom chat box right now. I want you all to check for the link and click on it. Okay, so now once you click on the link, you will be directed to a page that introduces you to the Parents Awareness Program, the different 5 short videos that it comprises of, and our team of advisors who helped us in curating this program. As you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you will be able to find the sign up box. Once you find the sign up box, I want you all to now start clicking and feeding in all your details. So yes, you have to feed in details like your email ID, your first name, your phone number. Okay. So once you click on, once you feed in all the details, you have to click on the button, Start Your Awareness Program. I hope you all are with me in this first step. Okay. Moving on to our second step. Our second step is the personalization step. In this step, you will land onto your personal page where you will feed in details about yourself, which includes your name, your role, the city, and your country. You will also find the options to feed in your photograph, the name of your organization, and your organization logo. But please note that the last 3 options are optional. Okay, so let's see how do we do the second step. On the second step, once you click on, once you come onto your personalization page, you will find the option at the bottom to feed in your details. So I request all of you all to start feeding in your details. And don't worry, if you do not have your photograph handy, you can just save your details for now and come back to it later on to edit it. After you have put in all your details, you will find the option to save. So please click on the save button. Yes, and once you are done with that, we will now be moving on to our last and our final step. Our last step is running your first campaign. In this, you will be able to generate your own personal unique link, which you will be able to share with the parents in your community via WhatsApp or Facebook. So as you see, after you click on this save, you have now come up to another page, which is running your awareness campaign. As you click on that, you will find the unique link that is being shared. As you see here, we have shared it on WhatsApp in our common groups. So this way you will be able to create your link and share it with the parents in your community, again, via WhatsApp or Facebook. Okay, so have you all been able to complete all the 3 steps? I'm going to wait for some time for all of you. All right. I hope you all have been able to complete all the 3 steps. Please do not worry in case you have missed out on any step or have got confused in between. We will be sharing the link to our handbook, which will guide you on completing the 3 steps and becoming an influencer. All right, I request you all to please come back on the Zoom now. Can I have everyone back on Zoom with me? Great. So now after you have completed the whole process and you have started sharing the link with parents, you must be wondering what is it that the parents might see after they click on the link. So once they click on the link shared by you, they will be directed to your personal page, which tells them about the person they were invited by, briefly tells them about the program, and also about a team of advisors. So as you see, for them to access all the videos, all they have to do is click on register. Once they click on register and fill in the details, they will have access to all the 5 short videos that we have under this program. They can view these videos as per their interest and get introduced to the different academic challenges and strategies on helping their child with academic needs. And now after you have completed this, the parents have seen it, you have shared the link. You must be now all excited to understand that how many parents have registered from the link shared by you. So in order to view that, what you have to do is go on your personal page. And once you go on your personal page, you have to look out for this hamburger icon, which is on the top left corner. Once you click on the hamburger icon, you will have to click on the program tab. And as you click on the program tab, once you scroll down a bit, you will find your dashboard. This is your influencer dashboard that tells you about the registrations, the number of parents who have registered for the program, the steps completed, which includes the number of parents who have completed watching all the individual short videos, and program completion, which tells you about how many parents have completed watching all the 5 short videos and have completed the entire program. So isn't this interesting? Because these numbers are nothing but the impact that you have created in your community and in your society by sharing your unique link. After being able to register and after being able to share your link as an influencer, you can also join our WhatsApp group and our Facebook group, the links of which is being shared in the chat box. Being a part of these groups will help you stay more connected with the community. So moving on, Ms. Shivani, we will now be starting with the question answer segment. Are you ready to take in your first question? Okay, our first question is by Russell Dela Cruz, who's asking, how can teachers be of help to parents in assessing the academic difficulties their children are experiencing?
Thank you, Disha. It's a very nice question where teachers are also taking nowadays a lot of interest to support the parents in the best way possible. So, as teachers, there's no formal assessment that you actually can do. It all depends on the grade level assessments. So, if you see that, as told earlier, in a class, there are a lot of children, and through experience, we know that these are the age level skills the child has to develop. So, if you see that after your efforts, also sometimes talking to the child, sometimes giving a peers to the child, that is a buddy system in the class, or you explaining the child multiple times or supporting the child in the best way possible, even after a few trials of such things the child is not able to do it, you understand that it's a difficult for the child or an area of improvement. So these are the ways in which your basic is your observation, seeing them in accordance to the peers of the class, at the same time taking inputs from the parents as to how the child is at home will give you a greater insight into how you can better assess the child. There are times the child is not in a mood to study, but you would see that at home the parents say that the child is doing, probably the child might be doing. So you can also take strategies and tips from parents to support the child. So when it comes to assessment, it's all the your grade level assessments that are going to be there, and it all depends on your school performance of the child. If you have special educators or counselors in school, they also have teacher made tests that will help or support you. So this is a way you can get an idea about the child.
And I'm sure this is a great start to being able to make tailor-made plans for the child that will help them in their learning. Thank you. And next question is by Namrata Kanal. She is asking us, how can parents who are in denial of their child's special needs be helped? And and does their denial affect their child's learning as well?
That's again a wonderful question. Yes, denial will definitely affect the learning of the child because the parent is not accepting, because the parent cannot better support the child, cannot cater to the child's needs, because the parent is not understanding. When the child parent is in denial, it is that the parent does not understand the child has challenges, and this is the kind of support the child may need. So denial will definitely affect the learning of the child. And coming to the first part, how can you support or help parents who are in denial? As I spoke to you about the common reactions, when parents hear that the child has difficulty, or when the child is not able to cope, or the child may be facing a challenge, it's a common reaction that we get from parents is denial. That, okay, they have a lot of aspirations, hope for the child, and you see that suddenly there's a mismatch. It causes frustration, it causes blame, it causes guilt, and a lot of other things. So, as teachers, if you are a teacher or a special educator asking me this question, it's very important to talk it out to the parent, as most of you said, the open communication. Understand what are the thoughts of the parent. The first step is to understand, not merely tell them that you are in denial outrightly, but to understand what are the feelings of the parent. Once you understand the feelings of the parent, or once you understand what is the thought process of the parent that is causing the denial, or is it that the parent has a different perspective about the child, or the child does very well in the parent's presence. So you really need to understand that. So have an open communication first. Talk to the parent about the child's strength. Use a strength based approach. Talk to them about the strength. Say that your child excels in so and so. I see that the communication is very good. I see that the child has wonderful drawing skills, but at the same time, I see that these are areas of improvement. Do not outrightly use the term disability disorder. It cannot be used until unless the child is diagnosed. The child may be at risk, but you could use the terms like area of improvement. We need to work on it. It could be a limitation that is hampering the progress. So once you use such kinds of terminologies, you tell that I have observed this. Do you also observe the same thing in the school setting? I mean, at the home setting. Once you and the parent are on the same page, you could say, please go and seek professional help or support for assessment so we know how to help the child better. Always use the we approach, because you as teachers are also partners in helping the child to progress. It is a two-way process where you are working, it's a collaborative process. I meant to say that, where you're working hand in hand with the parent. So you have to bring the parent to the same understanding you have of the child, and only then progress. That's when the denial would go. So if you are of the other understanding of the child and the parent has another understanding, not on the same page, then it would not work out. So try to bring the parent in your confidence. Let the parent accept that it is a limitation. And how would you do that? is you can also inform it in the first thing and also tell them to observe their child at home. Maybe, ma'am, you might have not. I have seen these challenges. If you could observe your child for a couple of weeks, or if you could suggest me strategies to work better with your child. So these are ways you can communicate to the parent and help them. Denial would be there. We also have to be very, very patient in dealing with parents.
Very rightly said, ma'am. Having parents on board with us from the beginning is one of the most crucial things for the child's learning. Our next question is by Sulekha Sharma. She's asking us how to keep parents motivated when the learning progress of the child is slow.
True. As I told you, there are times when we see that the child is not performing well or our expectations are not matching. As a parent, we get motivated. Even as a teacher, you might be putting in so much of effort, having new resources, new TLMs. You're like, okay, very excited for the class, but you see that some children are not able to do, and you give up and your motivation goes. But we need to remember that it is the small steps that are going to help the child. This child cannot take in too many things at once. So once you accept the reality, even the small steps or the small progress a child makes will make you motivated. So look at it as baby steps, count the baby steps as progress and not a larger chunk. That even if I want my child to, kick a ball, for example, as motor issues, and the child has to kick a ball, I'm only going to be happy when the child kicks the ball. No, it's very important when you see that the child is placing the ball at the right position, lifting his foot and trying to at least hit and knows the process is also a progress. So when you start to accept that progress will take time and these baby steps towards the larger goal is also to be appreciated, the child is putting in effort. So when you see that, yes, my child has been putting in effort, that will keep you motivated. So change of perspective of how you approach that will help parents to be motivated and even for that matter, the teachers.
Thank you, ma'am. Our final question is by Kathleen Texan. She's asking how to counsel the parents who keep high expectations from their child who is already facing academic challenges.
It's very similar to when we have higher expectations. So when we see high expectations, we see that the child is, as we saw the feelings of the parent, when there are high expectations, you see that the child is feeling that, okay, I'm not able to, my parents have a lot of expectation, I'm not able to complete it, or I'm not able to give them what they want. So the feelings of inadequacy, feelings of low self-esteem, worthlessness, all of it starts to creep in the child. So you have to explain that to the parent, that the way you feel will definitely reflect on the child. So if you have to counsel a parent who has high expectations, you need to tell them that the child has a limitation. So when somebody has a limitation, it is definitely going to impact the overall performance. So once we accept that, and you have to tell the consequences of having the high expectation. It's very difficult for parents to agree to that. But if you constantly keep telling them that your thought process is going to impact the child directly, that's when, with time, you counsel them, tell them the importance of providing a supportive environment, as I've told you. So when they are providing a supportive environment, they're collaborative with the child, they're giving them the unconditional regard. At the same time, understanding the needs of the child and providing the right support. That is important. Yes, you're giving love, you're giving nurturance, but their parents also have to take into consideration early intervention. So instead of telling them, don't do this, don't do that, give the parents certain do's. So even if you have to counsel a parent whose child is facing academic challenges, it is very important to tell them what can be done instead of telling them don't do so and so. So parental do's are more important. You have to give them handy tips. So when you're telling them that, okay, don't demotivate the child, don't have high expectation, anybody tells us don't, our mind suddenly goes to what can I do? You give me solutions for do's. So you have to equip yourself as a counselor when you're counseling parents that these are certain do's you can follow. Yes, you give the don'ts, but also give them handy that these are certain do's that you could take ahead and go with the child.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for patiently answering all the questions that our participants had posted. Thank you, participants, for being so engaging throughout the sessions. Just a quick reminder to all of you that the links have been shared in the chat box. The feedback link is being shared currently. I request you all to please take some time out and fill in your feedback so that we can improve our workshop experience for you. We are also sharing the link for our handbook so that you can complete your step of becoming an influencer. I will quickly update all about our upcoming events. Our first one is on 26th May by Madam Geeta Gopi on how to teach time and money to children with special needs. And the next one is on 9th June by Madam Geeta Gopi again on developing a personalized intervention plan for children with special needs and academic challenges. These workshops will go live at 12:30 p.m. Nigeria time, 4:30 p.m. India time, and 7 p.m. Singapore and Philippines time. Thank you all so much for being so participative today. We wish to see you all for our next workshop soon. Until then, a big bye from the team Ability.